Yeah. Okay, before we start, we will have a photo opportunity. So for the cameraman, nicht, dass es bricht. So let's take the photos before we start. For those who won't get what's there, you will get the solution once we have done the photos. Anne wollte es fest.
The future of communication is here, and Deutsche Telekom is ready to take you on an exciting journey into it. As it connects the world, proves the sky is no limit, and empowers the cloud. It's going to entertain and excite by turning your dreams into reality. Deutsche Telekom is shaping the future, and you can be there.
Good afternoon and a warm welcome to our booth on behalf of Deutsche Telekom here in Hall 3. My name is Philipp Schindera. I'm the head of corporate communication at Deutsche Telekom. We are happy to have you here at our press conference. We're very proud to have guests from 11 telecom countries here, so it's a great pleasure and honor. I know it's a busy day, so we have a lot of things to tell to you. I will keep it brief and will only introduce your host this afternoon. On the one hand, we have Claudia Nehmert, board member, Europe and Technology at Deutsche Telekom, and Tim Höttges, our CEO, who is now going to start. Please, Tim.
So, hello everybody here. Welcome in Barcelona. It's good to be back here in Barcelona. For me, Barcelona is always a marker for me in the year, because it's the first time of the year where I see the sun coming from Germany, you know, where we have normally, you know, very rainy and cold winter times, and coming to Barcelona, the sun is shining. So with this, I'd like to welcome not only the audience here and the journalists. I even like to say hello to my colleagues all over in Germany, because we are streaming this session to all employees of the company. And I even like to say thank you to all the people who have made this new booth here of Deutsche Telekom possible in 2016. So I don't want to talk just about the weather. There's a lot to talk about Deutsche Telekom, the leading European telco in every regard. And as you have followed us, the strategy is a strategy is a strategy. We are now in the third year of implementing our strategy. And we have 4 pillars of the strategy. And we are here to show you on each pillar that we have made progress in certain things on executing. The first pillar is the integrated IP network. It's the network which is improving so fast. The second pillar is the excellent services and the service propositions which we are offering. I'm not talking about that one today here, because that is something we're talking about tonight on our big party at the Bast, and I come to that later on. The third one is the partnership model. We talk about the partnerships in our business area of today. And the last one is lead in business, and which we show new solutions for our business customers here in Barcelona. Now, the network, and I still remember that, was a 2G network with one product at one point in time. Then it became data on top of that. And now we see, wherever you go, that this network is delivering so many new service propositions. You have very low range infrastructure. You have real-time infrastructure. You have all the data throughput which is coming to the services. So we have a huge variety what this network which we are building has to deliver in the upcoming futures. Take self-steered cars, safety autonomous driving. If you do autonomous driving, you need networks which are not only fast, they should work in real time. And what we are showing here is just one example. We have a network live which is operating in 1 millisecond latency. So an unbelievable, improvement on the quality of the network. Or just think about that, say people are communicating and want to have data access everywhere. They want to have it on the move, they want to have it at home, they want to have it in the car, but they even want to have it in the air. So we are the European telco who is just, starting to build the aviation network, which we show here. We have a partnership with Inmarsat that we have now an LTE bandwidth speed as well in all the airplanes which are crossing Europe in the upcoming future. 22,000 flights a day across Europe, should get connected to the internet. And these are just only 2 examples about the variety of what's happening in our infrastructure, what's happening in this new world of data connectivity. I saw pictures from the press conference of our friends of Samsung yesterday, and I've never seen so many journalists sitting there with goggles on their heads that look, by the way, funny. The only question is, why are you sitting here? Maybe in the future, the journalists sit at home and just watch me coming in a hologram into their offices and do the presentations, in their offices. By the way, it's coming, guys. It's coming. I'm totally convinced that all these technical features, are already at the horizon, and therefore, I think we will see much more capabilities which are coming. Another example, and I'm very, very enthusiastic about that one, is this small piece. It is, and some of you might remember Enterprise, Star Trek, which was, a movie which was very famous, at least in my youth. And there was always Pillar. It was the doctor who was always analyzing everything with a so-called tricorder. I remember that one. He was always putting something to the tricorder and analyzing what was it around. This is the live tricorder. It's existing now. It is analyzing every material, being it food, being it drinks, being it metals, whatever you think about, analyzing it, using the mobile connectivity, bringing it to the cloud analyzes, what the nanospectrometer is analyzing and telling the customers how many calories it has, what the metal grade is, and what so forth. We are presenting this partner Skio here on our booth, so you could just see that a lot of, let's say, science fiction is becoming reality these days. There's one thing which is clear. Without networks, all this new world will not work. It will not take place. It will not be able to act. And therefore, we see the responsibility of Deutsche Telekom, to build these networks. And in the past, we had always talked about data throughput, and we had talked about coverage. Now we have to talk about a third dimension, which is becoming very, very, this is latency. I think we cannot underestimate the latency. If you're talking about virtual reality with a latency of 20 milliseconds, I could tell you this is going to be a problem for all the use cases which you see. Because what you see and what you do is not, fitting together. So the latency is something which is getting more and more relevant for us as a telco operator to work on. We have increased in 2014 our capex by 20%. And in 2015, we have increased our capex by another 15%. We are investing 12 billion euros, only Deutsche Telekom alone. If you take Germany, we have invested 4.1 billion on an annual level into infrastructure, mainly into fiber, but as well into the LTE and the LTE bandwidth here. So we are now enabling all the devices which are coming out to network. We expect until 2020 that we have 50 billion devices which are connected to our infrastructure. There's a new study coming to 2036. There's going to be 100 trillion sensors and actors who will be activated in the infrastructures of the telecom operators. So that is why we are here at Barcelona, and we want to show you that Deutsche Telekom is at the edge of this development. We are showing a real case of 1 millisecond latency. We are holding the world record on mobile data throughput with 5G with 70 gigabit on the mobile 5G infrastructure already today. We have the air-to-ground network, which we are presenting here today, and we want to show that for us it's a responsibility to build these infrastructures over the next century in a very efficient way, which is the pan-European IP network, which we are building across our links. On top of that, we have something to tell you about new devices. You have heard about, let's say, that all the devices are very much similar looking, but there are new innovations coming, and I just want to stress the watch which I have here on my wrist here. We're going to talk about that much more at our big party tonight at the Bart's restaurant here. I think this is a very cool device, but it's as well a very new operating system which we bring into the market in our Deutsche Telekom areas. And it's something really cool with the new operating systems, but more on this one later on today. So for us, digitalization is network. Digitalization is the duty and the responsibility to make the society and enable the society for the wealth of the future. For me, digitalization is the biggest gift which we have ever inherited in our business life. And there are a lot of people, there are a lot of humans who are very concerned about the impact of digitalization. And honestly, with all, let's say, this technical enthusiasm which we have here at Barcelona, we should not forget that people are sometimes concerned about the impact of the digitalization. what does digitalization mean to my workplace? What does digitalization mean to the way how I'm living in the future? How is the impact of the digitalization on a global, by the way, digitalization, to local politician legacies, to the legislation of countries? And therefore, digitalization is affecting every part of our life, but we have the duty as well, apart from all this technical enthusiasm, to even address the social aspect of that one. And that is why we have started a big debate with the nerds, with the ones who are the criticisms, which are the ones who are deeply involved or less involved. Hashtag digital duty is the way how Deutsche Telekom is not only taking the technical part, but as well the social part of this debate. And please follow us on that one. These are, just my scratching the surface of how Deutsche Telekom is positioning their responsibility in this digital age. And now I like to give you a deep dive into the 5 or 6 topics which we are shown here in Barcelona. And with this, I like to hand over to Claudia, who is starting with the network development which we have at Deutsche Telekom.
Thank you, Tim, and also welcome from my side. A new dimension of networks. We want to redefine connectivity because we do believe that for a customer it really matters if there is a provider who is technologically advanced and, as Tim said, socially responsible. But I'm talking about technology here, and I will start with PANnet. So our industry has a number of pain points, but one is we have different legacy systems in all our countries. As a matter of fact, today, the intelligence for putting new products and services into the network is distributed over more than 10,000 central offices that have hardware vendor-specific combinations. The result of that is that it takes long to introduce new products and services, and for the customers, especially in smaller countries, it takes too long before they can take the best advantage of the best international innovations. Now, our solution is a pan-European IP integrated production model. And for the tech-savvy people here in the audience, it is SDN-based, it's a software-defined network. It works with NFV, Network Function Virtualization, and what we call real-time operating system, meaning really automatic. It decouples hardware and software, and it reduces the 10,000 central offices to just a few across Europe. Practically speaking, it takes a few days to introduce new products and services in every country where we operate, instead of 1 year or so per each country. So last year, Tim and I demoed a showcase. We had built a data center in Croatia and one in Germany, and we simulated an outage of a video call in Croatia on that new technology. And we were able to show that the data center in Germany can take the call with the new technology without interrupting the video call, and vice versa. So you might ask, Claudia, what is new? The new thing is now that we are getting real. We are getting real. We will demonstrate PANnet services in a real network. The things you can see here in Barcelona at the booth are in a real environment, and you can test the customer experience. But what does real mean concretely? In Q2 this year, we are launching the first real production data center in Budapest, Hungary, based on virtualization and cloudification technology. And from Q3 onwards, all new services, and I have to say all new services in the European countries will be delivered, first of all, from that data center in Budapest. The first service that will go live in Q3 is actually email. Please don't laugh, oh my God, email old stuff. We decided to start a simple thing. The next service in Q4 will be a so-called cloud CPE. You can see it at the booth. It's basically for business customers an advanced virtual private network with which you can configure with a fingertip your corporate network. And it has enhanced features like firewall, intrusion warning, and traffic management. So you can see this here. That will be the next real service which we have in production across the footprint. By the way, when I'm saying all countries, I'm talking about our 11 countries in Central and Eastern Europe from Q3 onwards. Germany, as it is bigger and more complex, will follow later. So the main message on PARNet is, from pilot to reality, we have put PARNet into our real production. And now I'm coming to the topic of this Congress, 5G. Can you imagine driving in an autonomous car at 160 kilometers per hour on a German Autobahn and not having a super reaction time? You don't want to be there, right? So, as you might know, super well-trained athletes have a reaction time of 7 milliseconds. Today's LTE networks have 40 milliseconds. The network which we are going to show to you has, and that was the picture with Tim, a reaction time of 1 millisecond. Now, where do you need that for? So there are actually a number of cases. Autonomous driving, surgery. Today, already we have robot-assisted surgery, but the medical doctor sits in the neighboring room. Imagine you would want to do this from Munich to Hamburg. You will also lead this fast reaction time with many applications in robotics and for those who can think of scenarios with avatars. You see they need to react. They really need to react. It's a huge difference on this. But 5G is not only about super low latency. 5G is actually a network that can do many things. We call that a multi-purpose network, or my technology team, multi-sliced type of network. Because such a network has to work for different purposes. Not everything you are doing requires 1 millisecond latency. There are other scenarios where latency doesn't matter, where reaction time doesn't matter, but you might want to have super high-speed mobile broadband while you are driving, to have super video quality, not while you are driving, but you drive and your kids watch, yeah? So this, or a third use case might be what we call here massive Internet of Things. You have to handle thousands of sensors. For each sensor, it doesn't matter how much the latency time is, yeah? Or to have super broadband, but you have to handle a massive amount of data from rather dumb sensors. So you see, these are alone 3 different use cases. Super low latency, super high-speed mobile broadband, and Internet of Things. And this is what 5G is capable about. And now I have to say, dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really, really proud, I have to say, and happy to announce a world premiere, because we will demo to you the first 5G end-to-end system. So a mini 5G network, if you wish. So the first 5G end-to-end system, which combines these 3 extreme scenarios I just mentioned, and which shows how that network slicing works. And with that, I hand over, I'm looking at the tech team here, to Bruno and the team here backstage.
So Claudia, thank you very much for handing over. We are standing here to present to you what we have started 1 year ago. We introduced 1 year ago our so-called 5G house, that is the innovation engine at Deutsche Telekom. Together with our partners, Stanford University, Samsung Technology and Huawei, we were able to present to you today to prepare this ecosystem end-to-end 5G. What does that mean? As Claudia said, you have 3 in 1. We have 1 physical network, and on that physical network we have actually 3 networks. That means our customer doesn't recognize it. It's just beyond connectivity, and we show you how that works on the front-end system and later on a practical example. So look at this one. Here's the first thing is a network, ultra overlay network, 1 millisecond. We can configure that. What is the bandwidth? So what is the speed or the latency, 1 millisecond? What is the SLA and how many customer can get it? That is 1 slice in 1 network. The second one is, okay, let's have 1.5 gigabit per second throughput. Somebody really would like to have bandwidth. The latency is not the same. Definitely there's a different SLA and a different amount of customers who are there. And the third slide we prepared for you, same physical network, but just the virtual one, is the LTE network on top of this 5G. You see the different latency, different megabit per second throughput, and a different SLA. So this is it about, and of course there could be more slices than 3, but we have just prepared it for you. Now I show you how that works in real life. So what you see here is a robot arm who is using a network. And you see 2 marbles on top of this one. That's the magenta one, what is related to a 5G network, means 1 millisecond. The silver bullet is just connected to an LTE type of network on the same hardware and software. This is representing of a different latency, 45, 50 millisecond latency. And there are 2 Samsung phones which are recording the action which are handling, so that afterwards can look at this. They have 1.5 gigabit per second throughput. So what I will do now is I will start the robot arm. This robot arm will passing a sensor, and this sensor is activating the application and is asking the network to release the 2 marbles. And there you see what happens if you have a different latency. So I will start that system now. So you see this 1 millisecond. This marble was able to follow the robot arm and falls exactly in that basket it should be, and the LTE latency was too high to make that happen. All these things we have recorded, so 1.5 gigabit per second. You see a very nice video on this one. You see the technology over there, how we did that. So it's for you afterwards to come over to look at it. And that is something what we really would like to show to you. It's something what Claudia said, a premium. And now I'd like to hand back that to Claudia for the next thrilling announcement regarding fixed line network.
Thank you, Bruno. By the way, I encourage you to compete against the robot. I miserably failed this morning trying to catch Bruno the magenta ball. So talking about the next innovation in fixed line, XG Fast. As you know, our strategy is to build fiber closer to the buildings of our customers, but customers have a pain point. Most customers don't like if walls need to be tiered up in their homes. Yeah? So we need to find a technology which enables super high speed, so to say, on the existing copper lines in the houses. Our solution is now in-house cable doesn't need to be replaced. Very recently, we were able to demonstrate in a lab test in Germany a speed of 11 gigabit per second over a distance of more than 50 meters in a copper coax environment on Cat6. But it also works with 8 gigabit per second on a normal copper cable. Yeah? So the message is we don't have to tear up everything in order to get high speed to the customers. And the message is also don't call copper old technology. So, number 2, European Aviation Network. Last year we announced our collaboration with Inmarsat because we have the plan to create a pan-European direct air-to-ground network. This network combines satellite technology and LTE technology. And for the customers who are flying, it means that they have the same good connectivity as they are used to when they are on the ground. So practically, we are planning 6 test flights by the end of the year, and the commercial pilot with Lufthansa will start in March 2017. Our plan is actually to have it rolled out until 2018 for a full commercial launch across Europe. And last but not least, I have a small innovation which has nothing to do with access or core technology, but with the customer experience. As you are aware, some communication services, like your local mobile phone number, is always attached to the phone or the iPad, while everybody is used to accessing their email from wherever. So for that, we have now a solution, a new customer interface and a platform, very simple, allowing customers to access all communication services from whatever device. So email, contacts, over-the-top services anyhow, and mobile phone number, because the communication services move into the cloud. We are planning to do a commercial beta launch in Slovakia and in Hungary pretty soon. To sum it up, redefining connectivity means for us to look at this really end-to-end. If you wish, the central intelligence system, pan-IP, the super access 5G technology, innovation on more traditional technology, same connectivity in the air and on the ground, but also getting a better customer interface and customer experience. And with that, Tim, I hand over to you again to talk about our enterprise innovation.
Thank you, Claudia. Good job. Okay, folks. Let's think about a while about the business customer, and we have seen the reaction of Deutsche Telekom on the NSA scandal and about the issue of trust in the business area. And you might recall that at CeBIT and last year we have announced this new data centers which we have implanted in our open cloud, Telekom cloud, intercloud services with the T-Systems in Germany, where we make sure that data is not leaving the legislation where the owner of the data is sitting. I think that was a very consequent answer on the customer need of saying, what the heck is happening to my data? I do not want to go into the cloud as long as I do not know where my data is going. I think Deutsche Telekom was very consequently answering this question from consumers. Now we have a new thing in this regard. There's a lot of criticism coming from you guys saying, by the way, all these all these IP companies, they know how to play the game. You're just an infrastructure company. So in the future, business communication services will go into over-the-top services. So there will be at one point in time the WhatsApp of telecommunication service for B2B customers. We have anticipated that. We have thought about that. What could be the answer of a telco in this regard? We call it Engena, and we come to that in a second. And what you see here, if you are a multi-corporation, multi-international corporation, or if you are a big international company, being global with your businesses, if you want to implement a fixed line infrastructure, what are you doing? You're calling a carrier, the carrier is calling another carrier, you bundle something together, always with contracts over contracts over contracts. It's a very complex undertaking to go into all these places where your business is operating. Some of the carriers, as we, have started to build local loops in the respective countries outside of our core footprint. So we have infrastructure there, but the infrastructure is normally not very well utilized because we have only a few customers on these local loops. So it's a very complex undertaking for the customer. You could imagine now, think about there would be an IP communication suite on top of that, which is just gathering the best connectivity from all local carriers. And you just enter the IP service and whoom, you have immediately access to all fixed line connections in the world. And this is the concept of Engena, which we are offering. It's an innovation with regard to how we serve business customers in the world. We are funded with our venture capital arm, DT Capital, a company which is called Engena. Engena is an IP service company. This IP service company has launch partners across the globe. We are trying always to get the best fixed line carrier. There's no need that this fixed line carrier has to be global. It has to be the best fixed line infrastructure in the country where he's operating. He's delivering on a wholesale model his service into this IP wholesale company, and the end customer is just connected with this Engena company, and immediately he gets the fixed line access wherever he's operating. The advantage is very big. First, we are operating in this wholesale company with world-leading newest technologies, not old legacy. Our launch partner is Cisco, and Biri is later talking about this technology which we are using. Secondly, it's much more efficient in the way how it's operating. Thirdly, we could enable the best fixed line carriers into this infrastructure, so we do not have a limitation from our own investments into local loops. Fourthly, we have a security feature in this IP company, which is much better than having a puzzle, a jigsaw of all this different service entity. And last but not least, it has a huge convenience for business customers who are going global. The time to market to get connected to all these locations is getting reduced significantly. We have now the first launch partners in this Engena corporation, which is CenturyLink, which is Reliance, and which is SK Telekom. But I could promise you here already, we're in final negotiations with more than 2 handful of worldwide carriers who want to join this new alliance in the B2B world. And this is, I think, a new answer for B2B communication services and how we enable this technically wide. I like to introduce our launch partner, our partner from a technology perspective, the CTO of Cisco, Biri Singh. Please give us, your thoughts on that one.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim. On behalf of Cisco, welcome everyone. We are thrilled to be here. And Tim, thank you again for hosting it with all of our alliance partners. My name's Biri Singh. I am the CTO at Cisco. I've been here 6 months, and we're very excited to be working on this relationship. So I'd like to spend a couple of minutes with you and tell you how we're advancing, as we say, sort of the next generation of the network. So we at Cisco, my background before Cisco, I come from the venture capital and startup world. So when we were thinking about this partnership, we thought we'd do it in a very different way. So as Tim has mentioned, Ingena is a completely startup company. It's its own entity. It's been funded through DT's venture arm, as well as some strategic financial investors. So we're thrilled to be part of it. We're completely starting with a clean sheet exercise on how to build sort of a next-gen platform. So at Cisco, with some of the work being done with our great technologists and DT and our alliance partners, we've designed essentially an offering where Ingena's core is to offer a cloud-first, SDN-specific service orchestration platform. And through this platform, we'll connect our alliance partners, as Tim mentioned, and essentially offer a high degree of automation of basically standing up services across the cloud in a completely agile way. And so what that allows our partners to do is high interoperability in a very secure network, high interoperability between different networks securely, and with all of the intelligence and the network policies and the orchestration of all the different services that Tim talked about in the cloud. So we're very excited to be partnering within the alliance, and I think for our launch partners and many more to come, it's a unique business and operating model. Again, I want to emphasize this is a standalone company. It's the first of its kind in our industry, and they'll be empowered to go drive and build out the network. So with that, our partners, four of whom are here, the benefit ultimately is hyper agility in sort of building for their customers next generation services and doing it in a secure platform. I can't emphasize that enough. We're bringing the best of Cisco's security and networking technologies to bear on the platform. So I'm very excited to be here on behalf of Cisco. Tim, again, thank you for having us. I think we're going to show you a quick video.
The internet is easy to access, fast, and opens up a world of global opportunities for corporations. But it's also full of people that have nothing to do with your business. And how safe can that be? Individual business networks, on the other hand, are safe, but complicated to configure. So you lack the flexibility. But how about a network that combines the best of both worlds? Welcome to Ingena, the first business network that's not only fast and secure, but also uncomplicated, because it can be configured with a single touch in your browser. And that connects your business to the entire world. Welcome to the next generation of global business networks, formed through a worldwide alliance of leading telecommunication companies. Ingena, built on the principles of the share economy.
So, let me say some final words on what we are presenting at Barcelona. By the way, Deutsche Telekom had a big luxury problem this time. We have so many things to present that we have to stretch it over 2 days. So there's another event tonight where we talk about consumer devices, and there's another event tomorrow where we are announcing a strategic partnership for me with the world's best telecommunication operator, and the strategic partner is going to be the South Korean Telekom, SK Telecom, and we have tomorrow a press conference on that one, where we, want to even, build a partnership which is going beyond what we have seen here on the Ingena side. But that said, what is, let's say, the summary of our press conference today? First, we feel the duty of building the best networks. And we are committed network investors. We have increased our capex, and we are willing to even invest into the infrastructure beyond what we have seen so far, and we want to be leading. Leading means not by size, leading means by excellence. Leading means the way how we are delivering this service, because at the end of the day, the customer will choose the one who is the best in the sector. We know this, and therefore our aspiration is to be leading. That is why we have a very consistent, integrated network strategy across our European footprint. A virtualized infrastructure, a cloudification of our networks, which are most efficient, including fixed line, mobile, headnets, wireless LAN and other technologies, and bundling the applications in this pan-IP infrastructure. Second, 5G is now where we have to develop it. It's not yet relevant for the customers. Being in 2018, 19, 20, I expect, it is coming gradually. It's not coming in a step function, but it will come, and we as a technology company, we have to get prepared for that one. And that is why I'm saying, okay, we are on our move. We have now shown in the labs 11 gig on old copper. We are showing 70 gig on 5G in the labs. We are showing 1 millisecond here live on stage, between real time, and we want to make it end-to-end, including new areas like the airlines, where a white spot is something which we want to fill as Deutsche Telekom. On top of that, we have a new functionality which has a lot to do with the virtualization of your identity into the cloud, so that you could use your service wherever you are, independent from a handset or a service provider whatsoever. You could use it everywhere. All your services, all your data is going into the cloud with Immer, so it's an IP service. And we do this very consequent and in a worldwide innovation together with Cisco in a new entity which we call Engena, which is providing a total new IP communication services platform for the business customers. That's it for today. I think quite exciting news here from our opportunity we have never seen in the last 20 years, and we want to be part of that. Thank you very much for your audience here today.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Tim. And now we are happy to take your questions. If you please raise your hands. We have microphones here. My colleagues in magenta packets. If you please introduce yourself. Thank you very much.
Hi, Dimitris Malas from Greek financial newspaper, Mercia. One quick question. When do you believe that you're going to launch, either as a pilot or then commercially, a 5G network? And if you believe that it's essential for the European Union to launch first 5G network?
So I believe it's absolutely essential to be leading on this one in Europe. We believe that around about 2018, most of the standardization and use cases will be done, so therefore commercial launch around 2020.
By the way, I think one of the big mistakes, and you as journalists should really stress the industry, because I'm only expecting that somebody is calling his 4G or 4G plus service 5G already, and just saying, here is 5G for the consumer, and it's not 5G. 5G should have certain functionalities, being latency, being sliced components, being security, being at bandwidth, and this kind. And this is, let's say, the criteria we have to jointly define, and then we deliver on that one after the standardization. But we should not talk old wine, new wine. This is fooling the customers. So our inspiration is not the launch date. Ours is to launch really 5G in the standard version. That is, I think, what we have to do in Germany and in Europe jointly. Then it makes sense.
No more questions, please. I take the front row here, and then we go up left.
Hi, Alan Birkett-Gray from Global Telecoms Business. Is BT in your one of the companies that you're talking to, especially as you're a director now on the main board? And there was no one in China, no one in Russia in your list, no one in Africa. Are you talking to any of them?
Look, was hat er gesagt? Ob wir nach Afrika gehen? Das ist nicht so gut. Okay, I hope I got your question correctly. The first thing, we are very excited that we got the approval of the BT deal without any remedies, and this great company is now coming together. It is a company which is able to serve ubiquitous, seamless access to all British customers. And I think this is a great advantage, and it's a great achievement which this company could have by bringing this mobile and fixed line world together, where in both categories BT is leading. The second one is on the B2B side. You know, we haven't talked about, let's say, a cooperation on the B2B side. We haven't talked about whether this could be something BT is interested in on that one yet. That wasn't possible during the merger control phase. But definitely I will talk to Gavin tomorrow and offer him the angina and let him know whether he wants to participate in this alliance as well.
Gavin, the CEO of BT, is our guest tomorrow. So on the upper left side, from my side, we have a question, and then we move over to the right. So please, not? Okay, then to the right, please.
Wird langsam warm.
If you can, yeah, exactly.
Hi, Jürgen Berke from Wirtschaftswoche.
Jürgen, and then we might continue with Henning. Please go ahead.
Jürgen Berke from Wirtschaftswoche. I have a question to this engineer project. Tim, you are head of fixed, of an integrated company, but you talked only about fixed. You know the question, what about mobile in this engineer project?
Yeah, by the way, good question. Next question. No, sorry. The issue is that we have built a global footprint with the Freemove Alliance for business customers already today. So we have this network established, I think, in 2004, 2005, which we are offering for our multinational corporations. We never had this kind of Star Alliance concept in the fixed line world. So now we established the fixed line world in this regard. Over time, it will migrate because the IP service will enable mobile and fixed line services. So this will be then the next step. But first we have to get the jigsaw of all the fixed line infrastructure into a logic, and then we do the next step, that connectivity everywhere accessible for B2B customers.
So Henning Geig is next.
Henning Geig from Teltarif.de, hello.
Hi.
You have a daughter in the United States, T-Mobile, which is doing a very good job. When will you see products as your European roaming offer for international users who are going from, let's say, Germany to the United States?
Look, the first thing, and thank you for this question, is Deutsche Telekom has just last week announced new tariffs. And the new tariff says we double the data volume, we include 1 million hotspots into that one, and there's no roaming, no voice roaming, no SMS roaming, and no data roaming for all people living in Europe and including Switzerland. So this is, let's say, the big attempt which we take. There should be worry-free, ubiquitous, seamless access for our customers, to say it technically. They should simply not bother about data connectivity. We want them to use our infrastructure. And the next step could be US. But you know, there are not so many roaming traffics which we have. Most of it is business, and the business customers, they have already ubiquitous roaming agreements with us. So it might be a possibility, but it's not as relevant for the more than 160 million customers which we have. From the US into Europe, it's already for free. So it's in your data bucket already. So for the Americans being here on the booth on T-Mobile, you could roam for free or include in your tariffs. So I think the world is coming to a global propositions here as well. Over time, it's gonna come. That is sure for me.
Before you ask yourself, did I miss something? There was a tariff initiative in my country and I didn't get it. No, Tim was referring to tariffs we just released last week in Germany. It might be different in your relevant country. So this was for the German market, and you should refer to the spokesperson for your relevant Deutsche Telekom affiliate when it comes to local tariffs. We have a question, gentleman over here.
Hello, team. Hello,
Hi.
Claudia. So glad to meet you again. This time last year in Barcelona, we have learned that the Deutsche Telekom have launched the very important innovative enterprise service, the Cloud VPN. Now 1 year have passed. We are wondering how would you evaluate the commercial progress of that product and how is your thinking about the future development?
So, first of all, according to two things. Number one, the immediate customer feedback which we get and how we measure in the business customers the results. It's actually as the feedback. And number two, of course, in terms of number of customers and revenues we do with those customers in the countries where we are launching it.
So, would you to spread this service to all over the pan-Europe area?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
We have time for more questions. If you pass on the mic here in the middle, just a second. And if we have more questions, please show up. Then we make sure that the
By the way, the philosophy, only to give you a thinking about strategy, our philosophy is when we have services which are used in every single country, we want to standardize them and we want to virtualize them into the data center cloud I mentioned in this data world. Cloud VPN, a VPN service for business customer is simply one of these services which has to be standardized and could be virtualized. Has an advantage on time to market, has an advantage of efficiency for us from a delivery perspective, and has a big advantage when it comes to release changes or improvements of the services. There are always services which are very local. These services we keep local. It's not standardization per standardization. It's standardization where it makes sense. And on the Cloud VPN side, we have already customers on it every day. Our business customer using the services already. So I think we're making gradual process as normal. It's an innovation which we are able to offer to our business customers, which are doing nicely in our footprint.
Okay, the gentleman in the middle here, please.
Thank you. Adrian Secelanu from Financial Newspaper Romania. A short question about the internet via in the airline. When are the internet in the airline service? When are you going to launch it in Central Eastern European countries, and when will you start to build a network? And the second short question. In some countries you started to get rid of the copper lines. Will you stop this in the light of this development? Thank you.
So actually, as I said, we intend to have the commercial launch across Europe in 2018. So it's across Europe where we want to have it. And to your second question, we are, and you know that in Romania as well, we are about to do two things. Number one, replace the copper lines. In Romanian, it is a fiber to the home solution, and in other countries we are upgrading them by vectored solution. And specifically in Romania we intend to have by the year end 2 million households on fiber to the home.
Let me add something. The first thing is we have up to 20 megahertz of spectrum which we could use for this air-to-ground services. So we have so much capacity for the flight passengers, you cannot imagine that one. What is the bottleneck of this issue is whether the airlines are implementing the receivers into the airlines. This is the investment scenarios they have to consider. We are in discussion with Lufthansa, if you had heard that, they're willing to do so for the European aircrafts. But this is taking gradually steps in this implementation phase. And it would be very helpful if you would push, from a customer side and even from a journalist perspective, airlines to enable data access as well in the airlines. Because our service, our air-to-ground is available. We are starting building this infrastructure already today. It is a question whether the airlines are enabling the data access in the flight. The second question is, and please, that is a serious issue. I think there are no good and bad technologies. There's only good and bad data throughput. I think if we would say electro cars are good cars, all other cars are bad cars, nobody would then accept that in the automotive industries. In our industry, we say fiber is good technology, copper is bad technology. By the way, everybody's talking different things. Some people say it's fiber to the curb, Some are talking fiber to the building, some others are talking fiber to the apartment, but fiber is never precisely defined. For us, our duty is, first, we want to cover people with high bandwidth. And with vectoring plus, G.fast, over the next years, we will enable more households, for instance in Germany up to more than 80% with 250 megabit per second. And then we might go with the fiber even into the apartments. But it is not automatically that copper is a bad technology. Because what you could see here is we are enabling the old copper to 11 gig. Why should we waste on rolling out fiber to the apartment all our money while we could deploy this high bandwidth on the old copper and using the capex for deploying it to more people? So our intention is to first cover more people, no digital divide of society. Second, deploy hybrid technologies. It should be our decision. We are the engineers who are deploying technology. It should not be the outside world telling us what a good or bad technology is. This is a decision, entrepreneur decision we take. And over time, yes, fiber is going to be everywhere, but the way how to get there should be a decision of the company and not from the outside.
We have a question over here, and then I would close the question and answer session, so we might have one or two more. Please raise
Hello,
your
I'm
hands.
Radu. I'm a blogger from Romania. A follow-up question to the aviation network. Is this connectivity that you will offer to the airlines so they can then re-offer it to their passengers? Or is it addressed directly to the passengers just like they would be on the ground? And if it's the second case, have you talked with the aviation agencies about allowing in-flight connectivity, because now it's flight mode only?
Look, the concept is as follows. You take the antennas and the mobile sites and you put the antennas into the air and get connected. By the way, we present this here over there.
Yes, exactly.
You need a receiver, you need something in the aircraft which is enabling the data access for the passengers. So it is not just, that we send it into the air. There should be something there has to be something in the aircraft as well. In areas where our network is not working, for instance over the Alps, we have with Immersat a cooperation that in this situation we use the satellite which Immersat is providing. They have a satellite service so that there are not white spots across Europe. So this is the way on fully covering the European landscape in this regard. But we need a cooperation with the airlines that the data access is allowed and enabled. By the way, you could even consider voice over IP then in the airlines, and everybody could make his phone calls, and the airlines have some thoughts about it. Lufthansa, for instance, they do not want to allow voice over IP. They just want to allow data access in the airlines.
So, do we have more questions?
One, he's here.
Von ihm hier, der ist wichtig, Global Telekom.
One more from a friend from me. Yes, please.
Hi. Njeno is a very hard word to Google. It seems to be very common in South Africa.
Yes.
Tell me a bit more about who are the partners in the investment. You said it's your venture capital division and some other investors. Could you name who they are, please?
Look, I just want to stress that issue for you because you have to understand the business and the customer. In the past, the customer always said, I need connectivity in South Africa. I need one in Namibia. I need one in Germany, and I have another location maybe in whatever. Take Greece, because my Greece colleague is smiling on me here. So this was, let's say, then he went to, with his operation, with IT people or purchasing people, he went to get all these things connectivity. Sometimes one company had a local loop in these areas, but normally they always had to rent fixed line infrastructure in this area for this specific customer. Now, in the future, the customer should not bother anymore about these countries, because there's a company above which is on a wholesale basis allocating all networks into that one. And hopefully we have all the best networks in it, like the big market leaders in Australia, in South Africa, and so forth. The company at that point in time is funded by DT Capital Partners. DT Capital Partners is a 500 million venture capital arm of Deutsche Telekom, which is totally independent. So we own only 49% of that company. 51% is owned by the management. They are investing into Engena. Now this company is becoming new partners like SK, like Reliance and others. The moment they are entering to the parties, they could buy shares of this wholesale entity. We have a clear governance in place for this company, but they could buy the shareholdings of this company so that they have their blood in the game as well. And then over time, we might then reduce the investment of our venture capital arm. So I hope that all, let's say, our partners on the network side become shareholders of Engena over time as well.
Okay, we are going to close our list. So we have Reinhard Kowalewski on the left side and then the colleague here in the middle, and then we have to end. Please.
Thank you. My name is Reinhard Kowalewski. When you make this 5G hype, are there any serious use cases except of cars and gaming for the private customers?
Yeah, the other one is what I mentioned in healthcare, remote surgery. Yeah, so as I said today, you have the medical doctor in the room adjacent to where you have robot-assisted surgery, and then when you need to steer robots in industrial production, and you do it from here to, for example, a factory in Palo Alto where you have to be very precise. So there are actually a number of serious use cases around industrial manufacturing where you need that level of precision and reaction time.
Look, I think the question is fair to say, where do we need latency of 1 millisecond apart from the car industry? I think gaming, by the way, my kids, they would love to have a latency of 1 millisecond because then they could beat the world. Because that is, I think it is not about the technical, it is about the latency, who is winning and who is losing. So gaming is a big issue as well on that one, especially on the mobile side. Virtual reality is very important. And by the way, I think we cannot imagine all the use cases about virtual reality yet. Every retail organization in the future, everybody who wants to sell something, he could use and could enable his business with virtual reality. Think about the architect. Think about the retail store. Think about
Wearables, intelligent.
Yeah, so the mode, the fashion areas. Everything could be virtualized in this way and could be adapted to reality. So I think there are a lot of, let's use use cases. I think for us the most important message here is, apart from the 1 millisecond, is the message of sliced network. Because some customers will say, I need a low-range network which is giving an information once a day. You know, for a farmer or for them. Some information have to go in real time. Every second the object is moving. Another one might say, I only need data access. And what Bruno and Claudia showed here is that this sliced network in this 5G is working already. End to end, we could offer this to customers. This is, I think, the most important information from a technology perspective.
Maybe to add one thing, we did tests with digital natives age of 8 to 16 across the world. In Korea, in Germany, in US, everywhere. And it's quite astonishing to see and have them test what they think is the next usage scenario, which we figured out, Tim, was very different from what we here think, our age, yeah? And here, the thing which was mentioned most of the time was actually everything about certain robots. Really, they were assuming that these robots in their kids' rooms would be real and they could really play with us to the extent that they would tidy up things and do all that stuff, yeah? So they considered it already quite real that this would happen.
Okay, last question, gentleman over there.
Hello, Claudia. Hello, Tim. My name is Gabor. I'm here in the center. I'm working for a daily newspaper from Hungary. I have two short questions. One is regarding, you mentioned a new data center which is locating in Budapest. How big investment that, and how many customers will serve that? And the second question is the IMMR. Is it a complete virtual service, or it need virtual SIM cards?
So maybe I start with the IMMR. So IMMR is really the customer interface, the thing that we put all communication devices in a cloud. It will work both with a real SIM or an eSIM or whatever real connectivity you have. It's just a more convenient usage that you can access all communication services from any device. So that's IMMR. On the question around the data center in Hungary, I have to say, by the way, for the representatives here from some other countries, we are going to build up a few other back-end data centers in some other countries as well. But the idea is really to move these services over time for all our consumers in the respective countries to these data centers. So level of investment in that specific data center, I wouldn't want to disclose at this point in time.
Good. Okay, thank you very much. Before we close, some housekeeping from my side. Tonight at 6:30 we have at the Barts Theater in downtown an interesting launch event. I don't want to give you too much details. And then tomorrow we have two interesting press conferences I want to recommend to you. At 1100 hours at the Rey Juan Carlos Hotel we have the 5G press conference. And then we have at 12:30 at the same location, also Rey Juan Carlos Hotel, the press conference with SK Telekom. So you are invited to join all these events. And having that said this, I want to thank you for your attention and wish you a nice day here in Barcelona. Please have a look at our booth. We have all the things that we were just presenting here, with people showing it to you, so please make use of it. Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
For the Ingena, we have a photo opportunity here, so please, the Ingena partners, come to the stage so that we can do the photo here. Ingena partners, please come to the stage. And Tim joins you. Patrick looks that he won't escape. Yes.